Okay, I am very angry and frustrated and tired. Today's Saturday. It is in the 2 o'clock hour, so it's like 14:30 something, maybe 14:20 something. Sacramento, California, United States, West Coast, Earth. We've had 4 outbreaks of COVID, four positive COVID tests in less than 24 hours at the shelter that I'm at. I am at Shelter Inc. in Sacramento in the River District. Thursday night, right before 8 o'clock, I'm riding up on my bike to the front of the facility. We have a curfew. So as I'm riding up, I see a fire truck outside. And we have fire truck, it's a shelter. We have probably once or twice a day, seriously. Paramedics, fire trucks, we have people, health things, right? So that is common. But the uncommon thing is that somebody from my dorm was coming out, and I thought something was going on with his leg, because we had talked about that a couple of days before. But he was like, I have COVID, I have to go to the hospital. And I was like, oh. So I go in and I said, is dormmate about to get tested? And they say they don't have enough kits. That's the first thing. And the guy that I saw outside, his bunkmate had been sick for a couple days, so he was at the front desk getting tested. And because I had heard him talking about, oh yeah, I had the flu, da da da, and I was like, but it's flu season, right? It's fall, you know, people going back to school, some, you know, people have kids, you know, blah blah blah, right? And so by the time I locked up my bike, I'm pretty slow. By the time I locked up my bike and went around the back to the dorm, one of the staff members came in and said, all of you guys need to come get tested. So we did. We have people who, I can't say that all of us got tested. We think that maybe 2 people didn't. Can't say. We're not staff. We don't have that list, right? So the first person that I saw, the fire truck person, he was taken to the hospital. His bunkmate, who was at the front when I came in, also tested positive, so he was taken to the hospital too. The third person is in the bunk. I am in the second bunk at the top. He's in the first bunk at the top, so right across from me. He's sick. He didn't get discharged, so he didn't go to the hospital. I don't know if they didn't have an ambulance. I don't know what happened. After lights out, apparently he came back in, because yesterday morning, we woke up and he was in the bed. The back door was closed, because we're not really allowed to have that back door. Anyways, the dorm was closed. We have a sick person in our dorm. I don't want anybody out on the street. I also don't want to get COVID. So again, I had it in late March 2020, isolated for 18 days, just me in a room in a bathroom, and my ex-fiance, or my ex, taking care of me. And I got out about 18 days later. It was before we had public testing. It was right about that time. You know, I think public testing in LA started about April. I think we can make appointments for April 8th or April 9th. I know I have at the end of that week, but I had already been in the midst of things in the test, whatever, right. So, and at that particular place, I didn't think I was going to talk about this, and I'm trying to move this quick. When I got out of isolation, we still isolated for 2 more weeks, so I wasn't allowed in the main areas. I could go outside, I had my mask on, but I couldn't be in the house because we had other people in the house, 2 kids, and there was 3 adults, and so, but nobody else got sick. We did a really good job. And by the time May 3rd is when the whole house was able to be free, because they weren't going anywhere either. We had 1 person going to the store. It was just really scary. That was in early 2020. super sick. I got down to about 180 pounds. I lost a lot of weight. It was bad. Really physically and mentally and emotionally. A lot of people, we know what happened in 2020, right? And then I was in a shelter for 5 months, from 2021, October 2020 to early 2021. Anyways, in January, first week of January, we got tested pretty regularly at that shelter, but people went away for the holidays and we didn't have any kids. I know how this sounds, but we didn't have kids for that weekend. That if you remember the beginning of January 2021, a lot of things were happening that week, right? Wait, is this 21 or 22? It's 22. January 12, 2022, actually. So it wasn't 21. So anyways, there was testing going on. I was like, okay, I wasn't feeling sick, so I went to go get some tea. I found out, like, within 5 minutes, they were like, you're sick. Well, we're sitting over there. We're calling paramedics. We're getting you all into, they had motel vouchers and hotel vouchers, so they took us to, they still had to do the paramedics thing, and then they took us to the hotel. I tested, if you tested positive, you have to leave for 10 days, but at least we had a place to go. That's my point in bringing that up. In this case, so this is Thursday night, 3 people that we know of, Thursday night. Friday morning, wake up, and that one person is in the bunk. We find out another person tested. So 4 out of maybe 22 people in our dorm have tested positive. There's 3 other dorms, they haven't been tested. The women's side have been tested, according to staff, because I got back yesterday and that's what they said. Nobody's positive, right? But when I got back last night, because I left in the afternoon and I got back later last night, and the first 2 guys' beds were empty. I have a picture of it. So all of their stuff is taken off their bed. So we're like, what? And it's now in the hallway because it's infested with bed bugs. You know how that sounds? It's a shelter and we have bed bugs. They usually spray once a month. They didn't spray this month yet. And I don't remember them spraying in August, but it's what it is. It's spray. I feel like the bed bugs are like, they don't care about that spray. But anyways, so that's another thing. It's a psychological thing. A lot of us have come from backgrounds of abandonment, neglect, and some of us, you know, sometimes you get sick and become homeless. Sometimes the pandemic has made people home. So this is the thing. Seeing people that I know who are sick and being discharged. So let me go back to Friday morning. We see the person. Did I have breakfast? I had breakfast. Sometimes after breakfast, I'll write in my journal. I'll do my gratitude, or I'll color. I'm in a coloring book to kind of relax. And so I saw the first guy, the second person who had left, the first guy that was at, gosh, okay. I saw one of the guys, the top bunk guy, come, and he was outside. They wouldn't let him in. The first person that I saw go out on Friday night, or Thursday night, he came shortly after, because they got discharged from the hospital. It was Friday morning. This happened Thursday night, around 8 o'clock, between 8 and 10, all this was happening. So 8 is definitely right before 8 is when I saw the first person leave. So yesterday morning, Friday morning, today's Saturday, this happened Thursday night. So Friday morning, I see the second guy also come. He can't get in. His mom is in the shelter. So I told her that he left the night before, and she didn't know because she wasn't feeling well. She went to bed. So this is breakfast. You know, she didn't know her son was out, right? So he comes up, they won't let him in, so he's hanging out. There's a sheriff's office steps away, like within, so where I'm at right now, where the bike, maybe like, yeah, 2 bike lanes away, like just right there. The sheriff's door is right by our door. It's just right next door. So he was by the bike right by the sheriff's door, so he couldn't come in. And they just told him come back in 5 days. So to me, that is terrorism in my mind. It's bio warfare, psychological warfare. They sent knowingly people out of the shelter, out into the wild, don't have no place to go, who are sick, We've already been, even in the healthiest circumstances, you could be the healthiest person. If you're staying out here by the river, if you're staying on the street, I used to be in a tent under the freeway. I thought I was okay until I got in the shelter, and then I was like, holy you know, I was just, you do what you can to survive. But I'm thinking about how sick I was the first time I had COVID, and I'm vaccinated, you know, like, so that's why the second one, I didn't feel sick, but I still tested positive. But the first, just thinking about being sick and being kicked out of somewhere and being out, who's going to take somebody who has COVID? When the shelter doesn't take, you can't go to any of the social services. They test you before. Have you been around anybody with COVID in the last 2 weeks? Like, I can't go to any community centers right now. Yesterday I was supposed to go to, they asked that question. I can't lie about it, you know? So that's gonna be, anyways, I'm on a tangent. To know that their beds are clear, it's a visual thing too. And I saw them being turned away. I see them sick. I feel like I'm always, it's inhumane. The situation is inhumane. The person who we woke up and he was in the dorm with us, he left yesterday afternoon, I guess, but he was there in our dorm. And not only can we get sick, and not only is it being sick and it's life-threatening, people could die, people have families, the staff has families, staff has older parents that live with them and kids. There's just, and the fact that if we get sick, can't go, they don't have a motel voucher for us, they don't have anything, we're just out. That's scary to me. I'm bringing it up and I'm making this public because the director of the program, Anne-Marie Hooper, I talked to her yesterday morning, Friday morning, right? I saw her come in the morning. I was like, what's happening? You know, blah, blah, blah. I told her about the person. We woke up with him, and she knows because she's coming into this, right? And it's a crisis, right? She didn't get back to us. I talked to staff this morning. Apparently she didn't report to the CDC. I don't know if that's true. I know that there's a lot of reports from staff from multiple shifts saying what's happened during the time that since it started. And it wasn't on a weekend. This wasn't Friday night. This wasn't Saturday. This was Thursday night. Friday, yesterday, all day. I feel like something could have been done to find these people housing. As a leader, as somebody who is the director of the program, I feel, I can't speak for other people's finances, right? But I feel like I would have went out of my pocket to help those two people that she didn't let come back in, right? So I called 211, which is a resource number for people to get social services here. I don't know if it's all of California, but I definitely know Sac County. So I called and let them know what happened, that we have four COVID cases in less than, that wasn't within 24 hours, in less than 48 hours, because it still hasn't been 48 hours. And he said that she was supposed to report after 1. So he gave me a number. It's 888, I think it's 393-9339 or something like that. It's in my phone. I called it. Talked to somebody. It was one of those, it was a person, but the phone call gets recorded, so I let them know what was happening. And she told me that I have to call back on Monday to file something with public health. So I will do that. And most likely file a grievance with Shelter Inc., but I'm not sure how that's going to go. And I called 2 of the programs that I had been in outside of this. One of them didn't answer. No, I called 3. So one of them didn't answer, but I called a respite place that was a 23-hour place that you could go and be in a recliner. Even after these, it's been 2 or 3 years. I just went a month or so ago. You still have to wear a mask in there. It's 23 hours. We can be in there. We have there's 7 recliners, so they only take a certain amount of people. We can be there for 23 hours. They give you a bus pass when you leave. This is a place to rest, but we still have to wear masks. But I let them know that Shelter Inc. that we have an outbreak, right? I let 211 know, don't send anybody to us. I think we got an intake yesterday. I don't know if that person even knows that we had, and then I called another place, another respite place that I was at when I was first homeless. When I first got, I think I was sleeping under the stairs at that point. But it was the first time I had been in a home situation in 3 months. And I was there for 2 weeks. We had chores and we did, it was a good spot. They helped me. I got to get on Medi-Cal and I got to get CalFresh and stuff like that. So I got set up, and that was October 2021. So I hadn't talked to them in a long time, but I was trying to see if there's any place that I could report to Sacramento County that this is happening. Because now we have this whole weekend, right? The reason why I'm upset is because the director of the program, the staff doesn't know what's going on, and we don't know what's going on. And she will be back on Monday. I don't know if there's going to be any more tests this weekend, but I'm not trying to test this weekend. I'm not trying to get kicked out. They're not going to discharge anybody this weekend, I don't think. But it's literally, it's psychological. It's like, I already feel like I don't have any place to go. And then I don't feel like I'll get sick. I don't think I'll test positive. But even in a healthy situation, even right now, to lose a bed, it's a privilege to be at the shelter. To lose a bed, to lose my spot would be devastating. And at the same time, I don't know what to do except make a public record of this. This is very, very long. And this is not only about, you know, I just needed to say it. And whoever's watching my videos on my channel in future, this is just a diary snapshot. It's a public journal. I'm angry. I'm so angry. I'm so tired. And it's the social justice part of it. It's the inhumane. Like, I understand corporations, I understand counties, I understand government, I understand politics and people. I understand the idea of people having debates about what to do with the homeless population in the River District, because that's where I'm at. We have tents everywhere and people, all of that. Regardless, we are in, the people who work for social service places and homeless shelters, the directors of the programs, people who are making salaries that are probably over $60,000, $80,000 a year. They've chosen this job. It reminds me of being a preacher. You've chosen a job where you're taking care of the most vulnerable people in society. Some of the most vulnerable people in society. A lot of us, this is our last choice before our last, not choice, but our last resort before being on the street, or coming back and forth, because some people actually, anyways. Yeah, it's affecting my mental health. And my spiritual health, I would say, I've been, a phrase that's been in my mind is, God has not given me a spirit of fear. So my whole body just realized. So I've been saying God's will be done. I don't know what any of these people's, I don't know what's happening. I don't know if it was, what would be fair is if people who went home and slept in their beds knowing that they've kicked people out who are sick, maybe if they're sick, when they're sick, they lose their housing, they lose their family, they lose everything. Maybe that's the only fair thing. Or maybe it's just that we just need to do better. Because I'm not I don't feel like if I was a judge, I think I would be, I just want people to do better. Because I don't know if she slept well last night. I know that her staff is also affected by this, you know. It's about safety. There's no protocols. And I feel like, okay, it's not the pandemic anymore, you know, COVID cases, whatever. You still, at this point, should have made protocols. There should be a standard operating procedure. There should be a manual or a book. This is what you do if this happens. If somebody's, If somebody tests positive, these are the things that you do. I can't imagine that Sacramento County doesn't have that. I can't imagine that Shelter Inc. doesn't have that. But apparently, people don't know what to do when stuff like this happens. I'm just a person that stays there. We're called participants.